Hello, everyone. My name is Reverend Erica Forbes, and I'm the Faith and Outreach Coordinator for Texas Freedom Network. It is my absolute joy to be with you today as we enter into something that is unlike anything you've ever experienced before, something remarkable, something that is evolutionary. We are coming together across multi-faiths, multi-ethnicities, sexual orientations, political affiliations, all of the things that bind us. We are unlocking that right here, right now. I'm excited that you're here. For our short time today, we are going to be doing some incredible rituals. They are an opportunity for us to recognize and realize that the work you do, well, I know it may seem trite, or maybe you wouldn't take it in the way in which we present it, but it's nothing short of a miracle. And so we've come together to create a ritual of sacredness, of common union, of connection. We've come together to say thank you for your work in a way in which we've never done it before, and I dare say it, maybe it's never been done before, I don't know. Over the next few moments together, you're going to have an opportunity to take part in a powerful ritual, several rituals to be exact. And during this time, our intention is to give you the feeling of love, of gratitude, of appreciation, of affirmation, of blessing, well, and of thank you for what you've done, for what you're doing, and for what you continue to do. I'm excited to present to you these amazing clergy, people of faith that are situated in all places across this country. And if you're watching this, regardless of the day or the time or the location or any of those things, what's happening right now is that you get an opportunity to sit back and receive. And I know that whether you're seeing this now or years from now, whether you come across this by accident or with intention, we know there are no accidents in the universe, and we believe that love is the greatest unifier. And so together, we're going to offer up a series of rituals that will uplift you, comfort you, inspire you, and hopefully remind you that you are essential, regardless of the work you do. You are essential. And so before we begin, let me set up a little bit of the framework. I am going to bring us in with a moment of silence, and then each of our clergy will take an opportunity to present several types of rituals. They are intended to bring healing for you and to affirm the work that you do. And at the end, you want to stay tuned because we have a special shout out from even more clergy who support the work you do. We're all here to remind you that there are people of faith that have your back, as we like to say in my spiritual circles. There are people of faith who believe in the work you do. There are people of faith who are blessing you, affirming you, and praying for you always. Yes, that's happening. It is, well, I don't have any words, which is rare for a minister. So what I'd like to remind you is you can grab something near you, because later on in our time together, there will be an opportunity for you to create a heart space for something that you hold near and dear. And that could be anything from your favorite pet who might be walking around. That may be a favorite plant, that may be your little child who's running in the background, that may be a glass of water, that may be anything that brings you connection and a heart space. For me, I happen to be sitting at my desk and I'm grabbing this bracelet. So you'll be able to use that in a ritual that we will have later. But for now, in this moment, let us join together in a profound and intentional moment of silence for all of those who may not be people of a particular religious tradition. But one way we can all connect and unify is with the breath and with the silence. We like to say you cannot breathe in the past and you cannot breathe in the future. You can only breathe in this present moment. And so together in this moment, join us with your eyes open or closed as we take a deep inhale and a deep exhale. And we enter into stillness. And with that, I would like to introduce our clergy. It is my pleasure and my honor to consider not only each of these clergy profoundly instrumental in their faith, but I also consider them my friends, and they will be guiding you in this ritual. Our intention is for it to be seamless, and so I will introduce them one by one, and then we will move right into our ritual. I would first like to introduce Reverend Linda Jamilo. I would then like to introduce Reverend Rita Brock, and then Rabbi Alan Friedman, Reverend Daniel Cantor, Reverend Catherine Ragsdale. And in this moment, I shall yield to our first clergy. You may begin.
All faiths light candles on altars and homes in front of pictures and as prayers to bring light as a reminder of the divine spark that is within each of us. Unitarian worship begins with the lighting of a chalice. And I use these words from my colleague, Lisa Doge, who says, "Why a flaming chalice? The question comes. It is the cup of life, we answer. A cup of blessings overflowing, a cup of water to quench our spirit's thirst, a cup of wine for celebration and dedication, the flame of truth, the fire of purification, oil for anointing, healing, out of chaos, fear, and horror. Thus was the symbol crafted a generation ago. So may it be for us in these days of uncertainty, sorrow, and rage, and a light to warm our souls and guide us home." Today we light this chalice and in turn 3 candles for your work, the work of holding love and service to people who need you. After spending many hours as a volunteer chaplain at Southwestern Women's Clinic here in Dallas, I have seen the scope of care and love poured into making light shine on all who come into the clinic. So I invite you to consider the parts of the clinic that need our hope and need our light. I want to invite you to share in lighting 3 candles for those who sustain the clinics, for those whose work is holding and healing the bodies, and for those who come to consider options and act on their inherent agency. The first candle lets this light in. We light it for the curbside escorts, the office staff, and counselors. Those who walk people through gauntlets of anger and guide patients in courage. The office staff who welcome patients and greet them in their dignity. The counselors who hear patient stories and hold a space for them to be who they are in their decision making. We light this candle. And I invite you to name or consider a name of an escort, a staff member, or counselor who needs your light today. The second candle is for the doctors and nurses, those who receive patients and attend to them, those of you who hold their arms and legs and care for their bodies and souls. This is for the healing and the freeing you provide through your attention to detail and pain and hope and care. We light this candle for doctors and nurses, and I invite you to name one or consider one who needs your light today. And the third candle is for the patients, the families, the partners, the children who come to the clinics with fear and the challenges of decision making, and family expectations, the pain, the suffering, the hopes, and the dreams. For the patients who come to make way so many times for new things in their lives, or to continue what they have. For families who struggle or support or both, who sit in waiting rooms anxiously, we hold them. This candle is for the dignity you restore in all who come to help, come for help to the clinic doors. Let us name or hold a patient who is on your heart and needs your light. For these lights that do not dim, even when we put them out, we carry the light of love and hope in our heart, and we love others into being with the light of the world. I invite Reverend Dr. Rita Nakashima Brock to make our next blessing.
Water. We are all a woman born through water. And I give thanks for all the workers in the world who want to protect when, with whom, where, and how every woman who wants to have a child has a child under her choice. Water is also our life source. It's what we need every day as an element to sustain life. It's also a source of great beauty, the kind of beauty that restores our souls when we've had a terrible day at the office or the clinic. It can restore our souls in the midst of intense stress and give us peace. And today I want to lift up the beauty of the yellow rose. 100 years ago, women who supported a woman's right to vote wore yellow roses to say they supported women's suffrage. And so I lift up all the women the last 100 years and those living still who continue to fight for the right of women to have self-determination over their own lives, to elect representatives who represent us and care about us, and help support our struggle for reproductive justice and for human rights around the world. Water is also a major thing used in rituals all around the world. And right now, everyone around the world is doing a really important life-saving ritual multiple times every day. They are washing their hands. This is soap. These roses are soap. And everyone who cares about their neighbor, who cares about each other, everyone multiple times a day is washing hands. And it's made water so important right now, so important that we all have access to life-giving water so that we can take care of each other by washing our hands. And if you've got your hands free, I invite you to do the hand washing motion. as we remember how much we care about our own lives, about our families, about other people, that with this ritual we do multiple times a day, we are holding each other's lives and safety in our hands using water. And so when you wash your hands, remember that many religious people around the world, those of you working in clinics and holding on to reproductive justice for women in this time when it is so threatened, remember when you wash your hands in water that we are holding you and caring for you. The power of water today. And now I will turn it to Linda, Reverend Linda, to take us to the next stage of our ritual.
Thank you, Dr. Brock. There are many traditions in which we have space or sacred space. Some of us call it an altar. Some of us call it a circle. Some of us are naming it just as our sacred space. And I want to bring to you a space that I've created, not only in gratitude for all that you do and the sacred space that you create when treating and caring and loving those who come for service in our clinics. So I begin the sacred space with the light. The light of the candle is a symbolic way for us to know that we take that light wherever we go, and it is on our heart and in our soul. And I bring the light. And as in many traditions, mine among them, we recognize the Sankofa bird. The Sankofa bird, and this is my form because I'm a real geese fan. Mine is a goose that is looking back, and another that is looking forward. And in our tradition, in my tradition, of Latinos and Latinas all over the world, is that we cannot know where we are going unless we know where we've been. We take our history with us. So I bring that to my altar. And I also want to bring forth the grandmothers who came before me and the grandmothers who will follow me. My grandmother, Isabel, she used to create these wonderful, wonderful pieces of art. This is a pot holder that she crocheted, and she used to hang them in her kitchen and in her dining room because her job in her day was to be the caretaker of the home. So she wanted to have beautiful things around her that she had created that could be something that really was symbolic of her craft, of her creative ability, and of her artistry. So I bring forth this creation from my grandmother, Isabel. I bring forth a broken vessel of a beautiful, beautiful piece that I purchased from a woman in Peru. The fragile nature of each of us and the fragile nature of how we go through life is whole, and yet at times it is broken. And we bring that to this table, to this altar space, that we recognize our reality and recognize the nature in which we go through the world. I also brought today some rocks. The rocks because of the strength of my grandmother and her grandmother and my mother. The strength and the grounding that they had to have to be the keepers of family life and the advisors and the wisdom leaders. So I bring rocks as a symbol of the strength and the grounding that they provided for me and for all of us in our lives who followed them. And I come back full circle to my role as a grandmother. I am a grandmother who looks back at her ancestors and a grandmother who looks forward, because as many of you know, I'm an incredibly proud grandmother of 5 gorgeous and brilliant children. But I also bring back a memory in looking back at a time when I felt how important it was for me to accompany the mother of one of my grandchildren who had made the hard and difficult decision that she really needed to end her pregnancy. That was my first grandchild. So in that journey, looking forward, we sat, we talked, she decided, and I said, I will be with you. And I accompanied her and my son, the father, to, thank God, a safe clinic with skilled care and empathetic and careful attention to her needs. But you know how difficult it is to walk through down the sidewalk from the parking lot into that clinic. But in the strength that she was carrying herself, I embraced her and walked with her arm in arm. It was an honor to be asked to help through the trauma of that and be there in the waiting room when she came back. So I consider that a great honor for me. And so that I bring to you on my altar is a photograph of a hummingbird. A hummingbird, which is the messenger of hope. The messenger of hope that just really helps us to know. And so I will show you the sacred space that I have created in honor of mothers and grandmothers. And now I turn and invite Rabbi Ellen to continue our blessing.
I invite all of you to pick up that object that Reverend Erica invited you to find at the beginning of our time together, that object which speaks to you of the heart, and to hold it close. I'm going to be doing the same, although my object's a little bizarre. It's not exactly touchy-feely. It's this. It's my cell phone. Normally, this most heartless of devices in these last few weeks has been our heartline. For those of you on the front lines, for those of you who are working with patients, very often your contact has been through electronic device. Whatever you may be holding in your hand at this moment, the issue is extending one heart to another. The issue is extending connection amongst yourselves to each other, with your patients, with your colleagues, with your God. So often these past few weeks, that communication, that connection has been seemingly artificial, but because the means of communication has not been direct, does not mean the communication has not been heart to heart. Your heart is on display each and every day in what you do, how you do it, and for whom you serve. Although it has been a challenge these last few weeks to be able to have the kind of connection and communication that normally facilitates the work that we do, you have risen to that challenge. You have changed lives. You have shown care, even when you had your own sense of anxieties, even when you face the same challenges as everyone else in our world today. And somehow, through the mask, through the gloves, through the cell phone, through the computer, you touched hearts. For that, you are to be blessed. For having been a blessing to all those who are around you. It is now my joy to be able to call on Reverend Catherine Ragsdale, who will be accepting these blessings and affirmations on your behalf.
Thank you, Rabbi. It is my great honor to be exercising my ministry these days as the president and CEO of the National Abortion Federation, the professional organization of providers. And so on behalf of NAF's members and our colleagues and allies, of providers, doctors, clinicians, and counselors, office staff, guards, cleaning crews, of litigators and activists, of hotline staff and local networks and volunteers, of all those who spend their lives working to support health and opportunity and justice in the face of unrelenting harassment. On their behalf, I thank you. On behalf of those who can be and are boldly and proudly open about their work, and those who cannot be, who must hide their heroic ministries, their sacred holy work from friends or families or faith communities, I thank you. On behalf of those who steel themselves every morning to pass through the vitriol and intimidation spewed at them, and then soften themselves to be present, reassuring, competent, and kind for their patients, and then steel themselves again to face again the harassers who threaten them, who stalk them, and sometimes their families too, who live with a sense of isolation and endure more than we will ever fully know. I thank you. Your support, appreciation, respect, and love matter. They make a difference. Thank you. I invite Reverend Forbes to close us back out.
Clergy, profound thanks to each of you for your beautiful rituals. And to you watching, our viewers. We hope this has been healing and transforming. There are two things that I want to share with you, and that is a call to action. 6 things I want you to remember and to take to heart. Get informed, advocate, speak out, connect, break the silence, and build this movement. Together, we can affirm and bless and change the world. And lastly, I want to invite you to our Facebook Live event. Join us right after this short shout out blessing to each of you. Have a beautiful, magnificent, miracle-filled day. Peace and blessings.
For your labor of love. God bless you.
To every practitioner who has ever held the hand of a patient while they received an abortion, thank you.
Thank you for doing abortions. Your work is sacred among the healing arts.
Thank you for all the work you do. We are very grateful.
Thank you for caring for others.
Thank you for doing this sacred work.
God is strengthening you, and God is walking with you every step of the way.
Many blessings for the very necessary and sacred work that you do. Thank you.
From your friends at Faith and Women in Mississippi, thank you for everything you do.
Your work is holy and good. Thank you.
You are who you are, and God has called you to a particular kind of service to other individuals. Stay strong.
May you be rooted in and surrounded with love.
May you be blessed and protected through the often unseen community around you.
May you feel cared for as you care for others.
We see you, we support you, we love you. Thank you for your service.